In this video, I played hardcore Minecraft for 100 days. Well, sort of. Not really. You'll see. Also, this video took a long time to make, so if you could please subscribe, that'd be great. Alright, thanks, bye. And we of course had to start off by generating this new hardcore world, which we spawned into in this horrible snowy biome, and while I do want to do a video that is 100 days in a snow-only world, this is not that video. I also found a weird cave with a spider spawner there, took a screenshot just in case we came back to it. And I also wanted to start punching down a tree, but quickly took a look at my hunger bar and realized I did not have the energy for that, and then I found some pumpkins and I punched those out because it just seemed like a good idea. Then I went into the woods and I was sick of this thing up in my peripheral vision, so I decided to start punching down a tree with even less hunger this time, which was just a terrible idea. And then I plopped down some planks because I'm a derp, thought that was a crafting table for some reason, went back, made a real crafting table, looked for the recipe for a pumpkin pie as I figured that was the only food thing I had on me, did not have the stuff. Hunger is now down to 3 bars, and so I ran off into the woods, quickly found some animals which I killed and ate, ran back to the crafting table, made myself some wooden tools, and then I went ahead and picked up that crafting table which I had to plop right back down underneath that tree to make a bed and sleep away the first night, ending day 1. And I of course started off day 2 by picking up our bed and crafting table so that I could bring it with me, and then I just started wandering into the woods. I ate some raw mutton to try and get some of my health back up, and I just kept on walking. I didn't really have a plan yet, I just knew I wanted to get out of this snowy biome. It was also getting a little bit framey loading in all these new chunks, so I adjusted some of my settings down about as low as was tolerable, and that really helped. I ate some more pork and then got trapped in the powdered snow 3 or 4 times, and after almost dying in it the last time, I decided that was it. Nightfall was coming. Slept the night away. End of day 2, you know the drill. Just gonna keep doing this for the next few days. And on to day 3, you know the drill. Start walking and kill some animals. I found a pig, which I did of course promptly kill and eat. After him, I found another pig, then a chicken, or 2, okay, or 3. I also ate some pork, grabbed some sugarcane, killed some more sheep, and another pig, and at this point I was a man on a mission. I didn't really know what the mission was, if I'm being completely honest. I didn't really know who'd given it to me, but it was a mission nonetheless, and I was going to complete it. It would be better, though, if I knew what it was. Oh well, we can deal with that tiny little detail later. For now, sun setting, time to sleep, and in day 3. And day 4 was just a whole bunch more walking. There was also some swimming involved, and I grabbed some copper. Well, I tried to at least, but I quickly found out you cannot mine that stuff with a wooden pickaxe. But I did manage to craft a boat and get out on the water for a while, which made traveling a lot faster. I should have, if I was thinking, I should have actually put the boat on ice. And that was pretty much all I did for day 4. Day 5 was just some more boating around, walking around. But after a while, we finally spotted land, and this was so exciting. It was a plains biome right where I wanted to settle. So I quickly went up on shore, got out, broke my boat, went up on this hill here, and just decided to sleep because there were a lot of mobs around, and I did not want to die this early into the series. And on day 6, I came across this desert village here, which is not where I wanted to settle, but it was something I could pillage for all it had, and I also decided to change my skin because my old kingly one was just not fitting for this peasant status. And as soon as I got into the village, like I said, I pillaged it for everything. I took their wheat, their sugarcane, even their dead bushes, their iron, their apples, their bread, their chests, their grindstones, everything there was. I even grabbed some stone from this cave over here so that I could craft up some tools, and then I punched an iron golem because it just felt like the right thing to do for some reason. It was a very bad idea, but it just seemed like something I should do for some reason. I also found a cool cave with some lava and stuff, and then I found a desert temple, which I went in and found a creeper, so I lured him out and got him to blow himself up just because I thought that would be fun, and it also gave me a nicer entrance. I then dug down, being careful to avoid the pressure plate, took all the loot, and then on day 8 found another village. This one was a desert right on the edge of a mesa. Again, not where I want to settle down, even though I am looking for a village, but I found this guy who sold mending books, so I quickly got him in a boat and trapped him in an enclosure just so nothing could happen to him, and then I punched this iron golem as I am still very low on iron, and upon defeating him, I went and traded some wheat with a farmer villager to get some emeralds, and then I met Gentle Jerry here who sold silk touch books, and I got so distracted with this guy, but I took some of his books from his bookshelves, bought a mending book or 2 from him, and this was so exciting to have mending silk touch this early on. Then I picked a house, put all my stuff in it as my inventory was overflowing, plopped down a couple of the furnaces I had stolen, and at this point the sun was setting and it was time to end day 9. On day 10, I took some bone meal, did some mining, and that was pretty much the entire day. Nothing else to mention, so here's a nice view of the sun setting, nice blocky sun just going down, yeah. And on day 11, I of course realized it was time to get out of this village. We are a ways into this video, and we have not figured out where we're going yet, but I did screenshot the coordinates just in case I ever needed to go back there in the future. I also found a cool waterlogged cave, and we're jumping to day 15 because the last few days were just a whole bunch of boringness, just a bunch of walking, nothing really worth mentioning. And I did keep checking my F3 screen throughout this process of wandering around, as I wanted to see if I could come across any of the new biomes that had been added in 1.18. I know there were a bunch, but I didn't really know what any of them were or their differentiation from biomes in previous versions. But on day 15, we found this Plains biome village, which is where we are going to settle down right on the edge of a snowy biome, probably the same one we came out of. I was going in circles there for a while, and it is just so exciting, 15 days in, to have a place to call home. And on day 16, I decided to pick out a house in the village to settle down in for a bit and empty my inventory out into before going off into the forest nearby and just chopping down as many trees as I could manage with my stone axe that is, and just doing some good old-fashioned Minecraft deforestation. The next day, on day 18, I decided to go to the far end of the village right next to this little house here and start digging an area for a mine shaft, as I wanted to have a dedicated set aside mining area rather than just a little poke hole in the ground that I ran into. Thought it would just look much nicer to have an actual mineshaft area, and I went through several iterations of this. You'll see here in a minute I had to tear some of this down, but this house was in my way, so it had to go. And unfortunately, I did not have any silk touch applied to any of our tools yet, as we were still using stone tools, so I could not get any of the glass, which was a shame, but we'll be able to get some more later. After that was done, I plopped down all my furnaces in this area here and just put up some wood, finished off the area with a stone floor, and then cleared out some more space to start building a chest room, as our inventory was getting very full and we had some scattered chests about. On day 22, we did a whole bunch of mining for coal to put in the furnaces, as well as just some other resources to use in building our area up. At one point during this, I also almost died in lava, but I got some copper, some iron, some coal, and a bunch of other stuff, as well as some stone. And then went back above ground to cut down some more trees, as we were again low on wood after crafting up all those chests. And on day 25, I decided to get working on a villager trading hall area, which I did a bunch of redesigns for, but I did end up keeping the birch floor, and this villager house got torn down just because I felt like tearing it down. It was ugly, I didn't like the look of it. And once that was done, I went over into the forest and chopped down a whole bunch more trees. But once I had all that wood gathered, I went back to our base area and got back to work on setting up this villager trading hall, which I think is coming along quite nicely. I put in a slab roof. It was flat at first, but afterwards I went back and put in some variation and did some adjustment with the height of it and everything, and did some sloping, made it look nicer towards the end there. And I also went through and adjusted some of the wood under the posts instead of dirt, and put in some fence gates so I could get in all over the place before upgrading to some iron tools. And then I went out and just decided to plant some seeds. However, I did quickly run out of seeds, so I just went around punching all this grass out of the area, trying to get as many seeds as I could. I knew I wasn't going to be able to plant the entire wheat field like this, but it was a good place to start. Once this grows up and I harvest it, I'll start using the seeds to plant more in the future. And this is just relaxing to watch. After that was done, though, I did go back and put in some stairs in our staircase thing down to our mine shafts, because what's not relaxing is having to jump up every single stair, and it's so slow, so time consuming. It was well worth it to have just put this staircase in. I also almost died in lava again, because that's something I'm doing a lot in this series. While I was down there in the mines, I also came across this mine shaft, which I explored a little bit and got some resources out of, but I didn't spend too much time in there, as I did not fancy dying on day 29 of this series, as it is supposed to be a 100 days video. But speaking of days, we're now on to day 30, in which I grabbed our first villager and I got him in a boat and started moving him back towards our base. However, I did have to get out, and for some reason the F3B is on here on the replay mod. I did not know that would pick up, so that's a good thing to know for the future. But I did have to get out and build up that little pathway so that we did not get stuck in the actual pathways. I should have built it up a little higher because I had to go back and put in this little guide system, but it all worked out pretty well in the end, and eventually I did get that villager into our base all safe and sound, and here I'm just moving him in. I did of course turn on F3 and B to see the hitboxes so that I didn't hit him, and managed to hit the boat, and I kind of lured him towards the base with that composter, and he almost got out, but luckily I was able to lure him into the base. And this was so weird. This guy went straight into a stall right away. That was so nice. It's normally so much more of a hassle working with villagers. And on day 31 off camera, I went back to the village and grabbed another villager who I then broke out of his boat boat and lured him in, and this guy, if I recall correctly, did actually get loose once, but I managed to get him back in, and then he just came in nice and easy like this. He went to the opposite end of the trading hall, but that's no big deal. Once he was in our base, I of course went back and tore out his crops and everything, as I was low on seeds, dirt, and buckets of water, and this stuff is all coming in very handy in the future. After I had taken all of his seeds, I brought them back to the base and planted them, but we also now had some carrots and potatoes, which I'm going to plant here soon. But I needed a wall first to differentiate them, as right now they look very similar, even though once they're grown up, it will be easy to tell them apart. Having a wall just adds a nice aesthetic to the base. And it of course also just makes it easier to be able to tell where different things are planted, and as again, it just looks nice. I think it adds a nice aesthetic to the base. And I also put in a separate wall over here to also create an area for the carrots to go later. But once that had all been done, it was time to take out these dirt track guide rail thingies that I had in place for the villagers, because now that we have 2 in there, if we need more in the future, we can go ahead and breed them up. I did, however, manage to break my shovel in the middle of that, so I did have to go in and craft another one and then finish it off real quick. After that was done, I went inside and just emptied out my inventory of all its clutter, because it was getting quite cluttered up in there, and I do not like a cluttered inventory. And how many times did I just say clutter? Anyway, the day was now coming to an end. On day 34, I went down my mine shaft and dug out the tunnel a little bit taller, as from putting those stairs in, I had made it a little bit cramped, and so I couldn't actually make use of the stairs. Once that was done, I went down to deep slate level and dug out some deep slate, as I wanted to use some in an upcoming build I was really excited about, but it needed deep slate, tough, all that sort of stuff, so I went down to that level and grabbed some of that. I also went up to the stone level, grabbed some diorite, granite, stone, all that sort of stuff as well. Oh, and some andesite too, because yeah, that's an ore that block I forgot yeah, I forgot that existed. Anyway, after I had gathered that, I went up the stairs, which was really nice and fast, and then I went outside and started building up this build I was talking about. It was just a nice little wall. The main purpose of this was to keep mobs from walking into our base from these hills, although it doesn't really work fundamentally, because they can still walk over the roof of our base. I didn't fence that off in any way, but it still looks really nice having this over here, and I messed up the gradient, that's the word I was looking for here, by doing deep slate cobble andesite when I should have done deep slate andesite cobble, but I still think it looks nice, and I will fix that when I go to do the other one on the other side of the base, which I'm doing right over here. I did have to clear out some space for this, as it did not fit perfectly, but as you can see, I started off with some deep slate and then andesite. Did the gradient correctly this time. I was too lazy to go and get some tuff, which I will end up probably doing later on, but I killed a cow because I felt like it. They were an odd number, it didn't work, needed to get rid of one of them, and then I opened their pin up and then started harvesting some potatoes and wheat in order to expand the field, get some more planted, make this a little bit bigger, as this is currently what we are living on. I also put in this little divider here. I had some trouble at first with it being way too straight, but I got it in at an angle later, and I think it looks pretty nice. I also put in that watering hole. And on day 38, I finally went and got some spruce wood. I had been wanting to build with it this entire time. It was right there next to our base, but I was so scared of getting trapped in the powdered snow, I had just not done it. And once I had grabbed it, I also brought the saplings back to our base and set up this little area here where I could plant all the saplings. I put down some birch, some spruce, as well as some oak, and I decided this could just be like our little farming area where we're going to have some trees and other stuff, but I didn't have any way to get to it without going all the way out and around up that hill. So I decided to dig out a little area, put some fencing on it, and then build up a little staircase, which I was hoping to go back and change out later. I ended up never actually getting that done, but it at least gives me a better access up to that area. And by the time I had done that, it was time to actually chop down some of these trees that had grown, and they just kept growing as I was chopping. So from this, I learned a lesson to wait until they were all grown and then chop them. But once I had done that, I went back and planted some potatoes, which I kept accidentally eating because I had them in my left hand and I was just right-clicking, holding that down with the hoe. But once that was done, the fields were getting very, very close to being complete, at least on the potato and wheat side. We still didn't have any carrots or anything like that, but we were getting very, very close on the wheat, and I'm really excited for when this is all filled in. I think it's going to look really, really nice. And here's just an overview of it with shaders. I think it's looking great, this nice little view here, and once they've all grown in and I get rid of those aged crop markers, it's going to be a nice aesthetic to the base. And a couple days later, all of our trees that we had planted had grown in, so it was time to chop them down. However, I did break my axe quite quickly, had to go into the base and craft a new one. But afterwards, I went back out, chopped them all down, and then I spent a couple days down in the mines trying to get diamonds. I didn't get quite as many as I was hoping for, but if I'm being honest, it was more than I legitimately expected I would find. And oh yeah, also I kind of planted all the crops. That was a thing I did off camera over the course of a couple of days. Here they are all done. I think this looks really nice, especially once they're all grown in. Again, I got to take off that mod pack or resource pack that gives the aged crop markers, but it's going to look really, really nice once it's done. And on day 48, I decided to grab all the copper we had, crafted it into some blocks, and then take it out and set it out in a field to start oxidizing. At first, I was trying to go for a strict grid pattern, but then it just kind of got to where I was placing it all over, zigzagged from the landscape. And then I decided I wanted to build up something because we were almost halfway through this video and we hadn't really built much. So I decided to build this tower here, which I did not really know what I was doing. I was doing it on the fly and I do not like the way it turned out. But on day 51, we were, of course, actually halfway through the video, and it was about darn time we got some diamond tools, so I got them, and I took them down into the mines to start using, and I found this weird little glitch out thing here, which we will see again later in the video, where the ground beneath me does just not render in. I can just see into the void. But after I broke a few more blocks, it did go away. And after a couple more days of mining, I found some diamonds, which was really nice, and then I came up to the base and smelted up all the copper we got. It wouldn't actually even all fit in the furnaces. We also were very low on fuel even. But once that was all taken care of, I grabbed some water, went down into the mines, made some obsidian with a lava pool, and I had to go so far to find this lava because there's only one lava source block anywhere near our base, and let me tell you, mining these without enchantments was a pain. But I got through it, and once I was done, I went back up to the base, grabbed a couple of diamonds out, and made an enchanting table. As you probably figured, that's what we wanted the obsidian for. And I kind of grabbed the copper that had smelted out of the furnaces and then crafted up into blocks, took it out, placed it out in the field with the rest, and I actually decided to pick up what was already out there and move it over towards here. And at first I wanted it all to be at the same level, but I realized that was just going to be impractical to try and keep up. So once again, I just let it kind of morph with the landscape up and down in elevation, but I made sure I kept it in a staunch grid pattern this time. Anyway, once that was done, I crafted up some bookshelves. However, I did not have enough, and we did not have any sugarcane. So here I am looking angrily into the camera because I have to go find sugarcane. And I set off, I think it was east, I'm not sure which direction, but point being, I set off, and it actually only took me like 5 minutes to find some sugarcane. It was not as big a deal as I thought. I had gotten all geared up and prepped to do it. It was not a big deal at all. I grabbed the sugarcane and then just headed back home, grabbed some water, and planted it over by our carrots. And on day 59, I did what any sensible person would do, and I went to YouTube and looked up a tutorial for a Minecraft villager breeder, as we needed some villagers, and I settled on this design from Logical Geek Boy, which I've actually used in the past on my Castlecraft series. I encourage you to check those videos out if you haven't seen them. They're a lot of fun. Anyway, I started building it, decided I didn't like it, tore it down, rebuilt it over in this area, and I was very low on resources, so I decided to go with this cobblestone sort of layered slab, that's the word I'm looking for, that sort of pattern, and here it is, pretty well all done except for that section of roof I missed. I accidentally deleted the replay video of me building the rest of this. And on day 65, it was time to chop down some more trees as they had all grown in, and I just love this view from above with all the leaves just disappearing, and I don't know. I think there's something really relaxing about watching it. It's really fun to just watch them plop out of existence. But anyway, once that was done, I decided I finally wanted to get some glass, so I headed off and found some sand and dug it out. I also breeded up some animals and then also killed some of them because I was very low on food, living on bread, had only 5 loaves left. Decided to start killing off some of the cows, get some beef, and I also wanted their leather for books, more importantly. And then I harvested the wheat fields because it just seemed like something I should do. I also started creating this path over here as I have some plans to make something back here in this very near future, and I also had another iron golem getting loose. But anyway, that was a problem for another time. For right now, I wanted to start building out an enchanting room, and I went for like sort of a cave feel in here, as it is kind of a cave. And once it was in place, I put the tools in and started getting some enchantments. They weren't the best, but they would do for now. Unbreaking 3, some efficiency on our axe. It was good enough for right now. I also built up a track to start bringing in some villagers from our breeder. But I did run out and had to go down into the mines and grab some more tracks, and I also found some goodies in some of these minecart chests here. Anyway, once that was done, I went back, finished off the track, grabbed a villager, and then took him back to the base and got him in. I know I said I was going to breed them up there, but I decided to go with it this way, and luckily that guy did not suffocate. I managed to get him out just in the nick of time, and then I just kept trading with him, or not trading with him, but changing his trades until I got the trade I wanted, which was mending, and then I went back, grabbed some emeralds and a book from our valuables chest, and just made some mending books. I accidentally shift-clicked and got 2, but that's okay, we will need them. Anyway, once that was done, I crafted up a flint and steel, grabbed some obsidian, carved out a little area back here, and put in our nether portal, and lit it up. And then I just went into the nether. I definitely got one of the worst spawns I've ever seen, but that's okay. And I definitely also did not get distracted bartering with Piglin, even though I went to get quartz. Anyway, once I got back to the base, we were very low on iron, so I decided to go back to YouTube and look up a tutorial for a 1.18 iron farm, which is the version we're playing on. And I decided to go with this one by Logical Geek Boy, again, another one of his designs, and another one that I've used on my Castle Craft series. Again, check those videos out if you haven't already. And here I am just building that. Not much more to say. And on day 76, I got this guy who sold Efficiency 4 books, and by day 80, I had the entire villager trading hall all decked out with a bunch of librarians, as well as one toolsmith, and these were going to come in very handy. And so, of course, on the next day, on day 81, I went ahead and enchanted all my tools up with these new books, and on day 81, I also had an iron golem loose, so I went ahead and took care of that. That is going to come back later in the video a few times, believe me. And on day 82, I did some mining, got some diamonds, some iron, and again, a loose iron golem. This is going to keep coming back. On day 83, I went to the Nether and gathered some quartz, both because I wanted observers and because I needed the XP. But on day 84, when I got back to the base, I stacked up all the resources we had gathered from the mines previously and mined it all out with fortune to get as much stuff as I could. And then I went down to the mines and dug out of just a big area as I wanted some cobblestone for building with. And by day 86, we had gotten a substantial chunk dug out. Yep, big chunk. Anyway, the next day on day 87, I crafted up a whole lot of copper blocks, and for some reason when I loaded in some new resource packs, all my recipes got reset, which was really frustrating, so I didn't have any recipe book recipes, which I should at least have some. I'm not sure what's going on with that. But anyway, on day 88, I got sick of looking at this ugly thing we had put around our villager breeder, and so I decided to build something nicer, and I wanted to go with a nice gradient on it. However, as you're going to see here in a minute, I did not like it. I wound up tearing it down and building something completely different. It was just way too big. It didn't give us room to put anything around our iron farm. It was just not good. So on day 91, I went back through and I replaced a whole bunch of the blocks and made it look more like just a little house sort of. But I also ran out of copper and I wanted to use it on this. I had some already, but I didn't have enough. So I went and gathered some from our little area and I put some on here. Not all of it was oxidized yet. And I went with this like two-step pattern on it and I think it looks really nice. On day 93 though, I wanted a spyglass, so I went and got myself some amethyst stuff, and yeah, I did this for a while, and again, more iron golems loose. This is just such a big problem, and it's going to get to be a bigger problem, and that was very rude right there. I did not appreciate that. Anyway, on day 94, I decided to build up this little mine area right here. I don't know why, I just kind of felt like it. I kind of wanted it to be what I had originally intended what had become our base to be, and I think it looks really nice. Got a little path coming out of it and everything. And on day 96, I just did some mining because I wanted to get some diamonds. And yeah, almost died to a creeper a couple of times. That one didn't hurt too much, but I found a whole bunch of diamonds, more than I was actually expecting, more than I had gotten before in this video. It was really awesome. So I got back to the base, stacked up all our goodies in a nice little tower, and you know the drill, just started to break it down, get everything out of it. And this was so much stuff. I love being able to do this with Fortune 3 and Silk Touch. It's just so much fun. Anyway, the next day I was trading with this guy who I'd gotten set up to trade for some armor and tools and stuff. And I went to grab some emeralds. I wasn't recording on my way back, and this happened. Another loose golem from our farm. It was a disaster. And for some reason, the spectate world, it's working right now. Here in a second when I log back in, it bugs all out. Right now, entities are like loading in all weird. It's really weird. I've never had this happen with a hardcore world before. And once I log back in, like I said, now only the entities are rendering in and they're still just going in and out of view. It's really weird. Well, there you have it. Not quite 100 days in hardcore Minecraft, but for my first time ever surviving more than 5 minutes in a hardcore world, I'm pretty happy with it. I'm keeping the 100 days in the title. You can decide if you think that's fair or not. I really want to do one of these with regular Minecraft, just regular survival, because that way we will make a lot more progress since I'm not worried about dying. Anyway, let me know. Hope you enjoyed the video. Alright, bye! Seriously, bye. Leave. What are you doing? The video's over. Okay. Bye.